The checkout line stretched longer than usual that evening. At lane 3 of Martin's Market, the tired flicker of fluorescent lights gave everything a slightly off-white hue, like the world was halfway to sepia. James Carter, widowed father of 2, worn-down mechanic, and part-time dishwasher, balanced a gallon of milk and a half loaf of discounted bread in one hand, his daughter's old pink backpack slung across the other. It was Friday. And Friday meant counting every dime before the weekend. James had $11.27 in cash, no credit cards, and 2 growing kids waiting at home. He sighed, subtly glancing at the woman ahead of him. Designer heels. Sleek black coat. Blonde hair tucked neatly into a silk scarf. The kind of person who didn't belong in this part of town. She stood frozen, awkwardly staring at the card reader, clutching her shopping bag with one hand and fumbling through her oversized leather purse with the other. James caught her whisper, "Come on, come on." As the card reader blinked red again. Insufficient funds. Again. And again. The cashier, a teenage boy chewing gum with the indifference of someone who's seen this 100 times, didn't flinch. I swear I just transferred funds," she mumbled, her cheeks turning crimson. "Maybe there's a network issue." "No worries," James said lightly, stepping forward. "Happens to me all the time. You ever try buying gas at the one on 3rd Street? Their machine eats cards like it's Thanksgiving." The woman glanced back, startled by the kindness in his tone. Her lips parted, unsure whether to smile or apologize. Before she could speak, James added with a wink, "You know, if I had $1 for every time I looked rich but wasn't, I'd still be in this line." She laughed, just enough to ease the tension. The cashier rolled his eyes and muttered, "Do you want to try again or?" James could feel her embarrassment fill the space between them like a fog. He hated seeing anyone feel small. He knew that feeling too well. "Look, if it makes this go faster," James said, reaching for his wallet, "let me cover it." "What's the damage?" She gasped, waving her hand. "Oh no, that's not, please, you don't have to." "It's either that," he said, grinning, "or we both die of old age in this checkout line." A beat. Then a soft smile crept across her lips. $19.42, the cashier said flatly. James blinked, hesitated, and then chuckled. "Well, there goes the milk." He handed over his cash. "No, I can't let you do that," she said, her eyes suddenly glassy. "You're not," James replied. "You're letting me help. There's a difference." The cashier bagged the items. The woman turned, caught James's eye, and said softly, "Thank you. I'm Kate." "James," he said. She smiled, picked up her bag, and left. He turned back to the cashier. "You got any good dad discounts?" "Only if you have a loyalty card." James snorted. "Figures." Later that night, James recounted the story to his kids, Ella, 10, and Ben, 7, as they dipped day-old bread into warmed-up tomato soup. "So, you gave her our milk?" Ella asked, raising an eyebrow. "Technically," James said, "I upgraded our dinner with comedy." "Milk can't do that." Ben giggled. But after the kids fell asleep, James sat on the couch, watching the ceiling as old doubts returned. The bills were stacking up again. Rent was overdue. His truck's brakes were shot. The money he gave up wasn't much, but it was enough to feel. Still, something about that woman's eyes, embarrassed, panicked, human, had struck a chord. He didn't regret it. Not really. 3 days later. James pulled into the garage where he worked part-time, his truck wheezing like it was on its last breath. Business was slow. Hours were down. He hoped to scrounge together enough this week to afford Ella's school field trip. He walked into the office, and froze. Sitting on the faded leather couch was her. Kate. Not in her high-fashion coat this time. Just jeans, sneakers, and a navy sweater that looked like it came from a neighborhood store. She smiled when she saw him. "You." James blinked. "Is this about the groceries?" "I told you, don't worry about." "No," she said, standing. "Well, yes. But more than that." She handed him an envelope. "I wanted to return what you spent. And, say thank you. Properly." He opened the envelope. Inside was a check, for $2,000. James took a step back. "Kate, I can't, this is too much." "No, it isn't," she said gently. "Actually, it's nothing compared to what I owe you." He stared at her. Kate exhaled. "That night in the store. I wasn't just having a card issue. I was having a moment. A big, overwhelming, breakdown in public kind of moment. Everything in my life felt out of control. I thought I could escape it by going incognito, pretending I was just normal. But you treated me with kindness when I felt invisible. You didn't pity me. You joked. You saved me from drowning in my own embarrassment. That meant more than you'll ever know." James looked away, overcome. "I'm not just Kate," she continued. "I'm Kate Remington." He blinked. She gave a sheepish smile. "Of Remtech. The tech company. The one that made security apps. The one with buildings downtown and stock prices in the papers." James's jaw dropped. "You're a billionaire." She cringed. "That word always makes me uncomfortable." "But yes." Silence. "You probably think I staged that whole scene," she said. "No," James said, finding his voice again. "I think you're human. And you had a bad day." She smiled again. "I want to offer you something, James. Not out of charity, but because people like you are the kind of people I want to work with." He frowned. "Work with?" She handed him a card. "Remtech's Community Engagement Program. We help underserved neighborhoods with real solutions, fixing cars, building skills, giving dignity. We need someone honest. Someone who gets people. Someone like you." James stared at the card. "You'd be paid well. Trained. Promoted fast if it works out. But even if it doesn't, at least you'll have your milk back." He chuckled, almost choking up. "Let me think about it," he whispered. 6 months later. The once rattling truck now purred like a kitten. James wore a collared shirt. Ella had new shoes. Ben had braces. The bills were paid. The fridge was full. He stood at a Remtech Community Center ribbon cutting, surrounded by reporters. Kate stood beside him, not in heels this time, but flats and a hoodie. She nudged him. "Ready to speak?" He shook his head. "You do the honors." She stepped up. "This center is about second chances. About believing in the power of small moments. About the idea that a kind stranger in a checkout line can change someone's life. Or that maybe, two people can change each other's." People clapped. James smiled, eyes misty. After the event, as the crowd dispersed, Kate walked with him toward the parking lot. "Hey," she said. "You've got good instincts. Quick wit. Big heart. You sayin' I should run for mayor?" She laughed. "I'm saying, if this were a movie, this would be the part where I admit I didn't just come back because you were kind." James tilted his head. She stepped closer. "I came back because I couldn't stop thinking about you." A pause. Then James, ever quick, smiled. "Well, I did give you my milk." She burst out laughing, and this time, it was real and carefree. 1 year later. There was a wedding. Simple. Small. Beautiful. Kate wore flats again. James wore a suit Ella picked. Ben held the rings. When the vows ended, Kate whispered, "You didn't just win me over with quick wit, James. You reminded me that real love, looks like kindness, sounds like humor, and walks into your life when you least expect it." James smiled. "And buys your groceries."